Hello, friends, and welcome back. It's been a while. So, in today's episode, we're kicking it off with a little putting mat demo, and we're going to see how beneficial a putting mat is to your game and what you can do inside your home when you're not out playing golf to work on your putting stroke and see if it will actually benefit you when you get back on the golf course. So, one thing I will preface this video by saying is that all the products you see here were bought with my own money. I'm not sponsored. So, all my opinions are just based on my personal beliefs with all these products. The putter I'm using, the ball I'm using, the putting mat I'm using. Everything is kind of my own preference. I'm not sponsored. This is not product placement. Everything you see is just what I prefer to use when I'm practicing putting at home. All right, with all that being said, let's get into the video. So whenever I ask my students how they practice at home, or if they do practice at home, I'll always ask them to kind of shoot me a video, kind of show me what practicing at home looks like for them. And 9 times out of 10, they'll go ahead, they'll start up their video, they'll go to the very end of their putting mat, and all they will do is just hit balls from the very end of their putting mat, and then they'll just rake another ball over, and they will just continue to just hit balls, just rake them over, and just continue to hit balls. So this kind of practice method is not beneficial in the slightest. You're not going to get better from just sitting here and just hitting these putts over and over again. It will it'll be good to kind of see the ball go in the hole, and it's a fun way to kill some time, but you are not developing any skills from just hitting the same putt over and over again on the same mat under the same conditions with nothing changing. Now, obviously, with a straight putting mat, we're not going to have break. We're not going to need to read the putt. Although some putting mats might be lumpy and might have spots that do kind of serve as break. But when we have a putting mat here, we're not really changing the conditions at all. So just continuously hitting golf balls and raking other golf balls over and just hitting them over and over again is not going to do us any good in our golf game. So let's get into some of the ways that you can see some benefit in your golf game using a putting mat. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move away from the 8-foot putts, or however far your putting mat goes to. So although it's good to practice kind of this distance of putt, we don't want to really start there. So I like to start at 3 feet. It is a 99% make chance on tour, and the amateur make percentage is nowhere close to that. A lot of people see 3 feet and they pick their ball up. Not a lot of people practice this, and not a lot of people are confident over a 3-foot putt when they step over one in a round of golf. So we're going to start here, and we're not just going to mindlessly hit golf balls. The first thing we're going to add is our routine. We are going to get into the habit of every time we're over a putt, whether it be on a practice mat, on a putting green, in our round of golf, wherever it is, we are going to get into the habit of doing our pre-shot routine with our putting. So for me, what that looks like is I would kind of get down, line up the golf ball, and this is a great way to kind of test alignment as well, because you get to see exactly what line the golf ball is on. Obviously, my putting mat is a little lumpy, so I'm not going to get a perfect line, but we are going to try to get it pretty close here. And then I usually go back behind the golf ball. I look and make sure that it's lined up correctly. I will go ahead and step back here, and I'll take my practice swings. And then I will address the golf ball, and I will set my feet, look one last time at the hole, and then hit my putt. Now, obviously, with a 3-foot putt like this, we're not really too concerned about making this putt. If you are standing over a 3-foot putt perfectly flat like this, the odds of it going in are pretty good. You would have to have your putter either 20 degrees open or closed to statistically miss the hole with everything else being equal. So we're not super worried about making or missing. We're really training the process here. If you want more of a challenge, we can also do the same thing over on our smaller hole if you have that on your putting mat. And this is kind of where the precision gets added in. So this is where we start to kind of think, okay, I'm really worried about my face, my path. I really want to dial those things in. Luckily, with this putting mat in particular, I have several lines. So if I wanted to roll some practice putts back here, or take some practice swings, I should say, I can kind of see the line that my putter is coming in on, and I can hopefully identify any tendencies I might have to push or pull any putts. Uh, so now, if I wanted to hit this putt, it's kind of the same deal where I'm doing my routine. I didn't line this one up, but I would do my routine. I would do my practice strokes, and then I would step up and I would take one last look at the hole and hit. Now that was not a great stroke. As you can see with the multiple lines, you can kind of see when you take the putter inside, take the putter outside, different things like that. And you can hopefully correct these tendencies with more and more reps at this. Now, although we have the straight lines here, we don't necessarily want to take the putter straight back and straight through. We want a tiny bit of an arc. This is all kind of personal preference, but with my style of putter, I do want a tiny bit of an arc. Nothing too drastic, but I don't want to take it too far outside. I don't want to take it straight back. I want to take it on a tiny bit of an arc and then a tiny bit of the arc on the way through. This is just going to, over time, I've kind of statistically seen that when I have this small arc to my putting stroke, I tend to be able to put the face on the club square more often, opposed to if I try to really work on taking the putter straight back and straight through, I notice my face is a lot more unstable. This is something that you kind of need to test and kind of see over time. But for my blade putter, it kind of helps me to keep the face square if I have a tiny bit of an arc. Okay, so now that we've gotten acclimated to our putting mat, kind of the lines, the distances that we should be kind of rolling putts at, let's go ahead and go to a drill that we can use. So I'll go ahead and preface this by saying that rolling putts can only get you so far. Whether it's at 3 feet or 8 feet, rolling putts on the putting mat, it's really just doing the same thing over and over again, not really training a skill. It's great for getting reps in to get repetition, but really, we're not really practicing anything. We're not training a skill. Nothing is really being done to help us improve. So let's go ahead and look at a drill that we can do to specifically train our putting stroke and to hopefully see some improvement in it. So we're going to do what's called the gate drill. So this is one of my favorite drills. I'm going to probably talk about it a lot on the channel. And it's a very good drill for the putting stroke, and we're going to start with it here. So with this drill, the object is to improve your centerness of contact with the putter face here, as well as having a consistent path. So we're going to try to hit this ball and have the putter pass through the gate here, make a solid strike on the golf ball, and make the putt. It's a lot easier to do here on a putting mat because we have a flat putt. We're not worried about kind of making it too hard on ourselves by having a putt that breaks. And ideally, we can see the ball kind of roll in on a straight path every time. So I've set this up pretty easy with the gate pretty far apart, just to start here. I've also set this up at 5 feet. I've set this up a little further back than what we started with, kind of at 3 feet, just so we can get a bit of a longer stroke and see a little bit more moving parts throughout the golf swing. So we've got this drill here. And the great thing about the drill on the putting mat is the tees can't go into the ground, so they are sitting up here. So whenever I do this drill on a putting green, a lot of my students get scared to hit the tees to give that jolt of the putter. And so they take a very timid putting stroke. It's not very natural. They're really just worried about hitting the gate. So with this, we can swing a lot more freely, knowing that worst case, we just knock over a tee. We're not going to feel that jolt. And we can also see the result of the putt, even if we do hit the gate. We can see if the ball goes in or if it misses. And we can kind of get a little bit more data from seeing this putt along with seeing the result of the drill. So we're going to go ahead and hit this putt now. We're going to go ahead and set up, get all lined up. And there we go. So that was kind of on easy mode there. The gate was very far apart. And the great thing about this drill is the better and more consistent you get with your putting stroke, the more you can move these gates. So I'm going to go ahead and move these in very close to where the putter would exit. So I've added a degree of difficulty here to where now I have to be a lot more precise with my centerness of contact, and my path has to be a lot closer to neutral. So we're going to go ahead and try the same drill again, and hopefully we won't hit any tees here. And there we go. As you can see, my strike wasn't perfect there, and my face was a little bit open. We didn't quite get that one exactly center cut in the middle of the hole, but we still made the putt nonetheless. So if you do want a bit more of a challenge, you can do the same thing on the smaller hole here, whereas that putt that I just hit would not have made it in the smaller hole, just with how open my face was there. So the next thing we'll talk about after we've kind of done this is we'll talk about how we can look at these results and how we can interpret them and practice kind of how to fix those off-center strikes if we were to kind of have a consistent miss where we're hitting a tee. So let's say we have our results for the gate drill and we are consistently hitting the far gate close to the toe of the putter. So we know from this that we are missing the ball on the heel of the putter here, and most likely we have a push path as well, which we can also kind of see from if the ball is going in or if it's missing the hole here. So in order to fix this, we are going to go ahead and use another household item here. We just have a water bottle. Something we're going to use here is anything that has a little bit of weight to it, but also you wouldn't be scared to hit with your putter. So I have a water bottle here. We're going to go ahead and set this up just outside where the putter is going to be passing through the golf ball. We're back to 3 feet here because we're going to train this with a smaller motion and then slowly work our way back away from 3 feet. So we're going to start at 3 feet, a nice small motion, and we're just going to train the idea of missing this object here. So we're going to go ahead and set up. We're going to hit this putt. And we missed the object. As you can see, we also lipped that one in on the right side. So you're starting to get the idea that the path doesn't necessarily dictate if we make or miss the putt. This is why I kind of tell my students to stay away from trying to take the putter straight back and straight through, because path is not the #1 indicator of the line that the ball starts on. That is going to be our face. As you can see there, my path, I didn't have that push path or else I would have hit the water bottle, yet I still pushed the putt. I had an open club face as I came into the putt there. So with this drill, we are really training the path and the centerness of contact, but you can also kind of start to see the face and how that is going to be a factor to making or missing putts and starting it on the right line. As a general rule of thumb, your club face is going to determine your start direction, and your path is going to determine the way the ball travels to the hole. So I can kind of hit a putt very in to out here with a center or even a closed path, or with a closed club face, and you'll see I still miss the putt there. I can also do the exact opposite, and I can take the club straight back and straight through with an open club face, and you'll see with the open club face, we miss the putt a lot further right. The start line of our putt is going to be mostly determined by our face. The path of the club is going to determine the way the ball travels to the hole. So on a very microscopic scale, if we have this ball traveling in to out, you might notice that the ball starts to break a little bit more from right to left. And opposite is true for if we go out to in. This is the same kind of principles that we use when we're looking at how the ball flies through the air with a full swing. You know, if you have the club going in to out, you're going to see more of a draw spin on the ball. And the inverse is true if you see an out to in, you're going to see more of the cut spin on the ball. So as we kind of train the putting stroke, it's important to know what our tendencies are both with the face and the path, and to know which one is more consistent and which one needs work. As you can see from the gate drill, we're learning about path. We're seeing what our path tendencies are based on which tee falls over, and we're seeing kind of what the centerness of contact looks like with our putter. So that's going to conclude our video on putting mats. I hope you learned kind of what to avoid, what to look for, kind of different things you can do to improve your skills instead of just mindlessly hitting putts. And hopefully you will gain a few strokes on the green the next time you go out. As always, if you have any questions, anything you wanted me to cover, or anything you want me to talk about in a future video, leave those in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts about the video. And as always, let's play for par.